Welcome back. As you can see, moving the Scamp into the garage was kind of a dumb idea. Since the weather got better, I decided it was time to take the Scamp from a kind of dull egg look to a much brighter, shinier cue ball type feel. So if you came here from the title, you're probably interested in buffing out your fiberglass trailer. The first thing you should be asking is this something I want to do myself, or should I pay a professional? Believe me, this is a question I asked myself multiple times during the experience, and the way I'll sum it up is if you have more time than money and you have access to the right tools, then I think you should go for it. First, I should definitely say I am not a professional, and I very quickly realized that when tackling this project. However, I can help you learn from my mistakes. So before you stop watching this video, go ahead and take a look at my results that I was able to obtain despite my complete ineptitude. The good news is gelcoat is extremely forgiving when it comes to a DIY detail. In a nutshell, what you're going to want to do is get your entire trailer really clean. Use a strong soap that removes any old wax or anything that's built up. Then you're going to go in over the entire surface with a compounding pad on a polisher just to remove all the oxidation built up. And that should leave you with a nice shiny surface. And then you're gonna go over, get that all cleaned up, and apply a wax to protect that new shiny surface. So now here are 5 tips or 5 things that I had to learn the hard way when buffing your fiberglass trailer. So number 1, mask, mask, mask. I'm not talking about those Bluebeards we've all been wearing for the last couple years. I'm talking about the blue tape. This is probably the most irreversible mistake I made during the whole process. A little bit of time prepping will save you a lot of time fixing. The windows of the Scamp are aluminum coated in black paint, and if you spend a lot of time around the edges with the cutting pad, you're bound to work through the paint, and that's exactly what happened to me. The cutting compound and wax can also stain rubber surfaces, at worst. At best, they're very, very hard to clean. Number 2, use the right pad when cutting or compounding. I started out with a wool buffing pad because it was something that was readily available on Amazon at a pretty decent price. The pad would have probably been fine for like really light oxidation, but my Scamp had decades of horrible oxidation. After I spent several hours with the buffing pad, I finally went over to West Marine and bought a compounding pad. A compounding pad is much more abrasive than a buffing pad, so I was able to cut through that oxidation more quickly. Once I put that on, it just went through the rest of the Scamp with much more ease. All right, and that brings me to my 3rd tip, which is use the right cutting solution. I started off with a medium cutter / polisher. And again, this ended up working okay, but I spent a lot more time and a lot more of the material going over the same section over and over again. I switched over to a heavier cutting solution and was able to breeze through the rest of the Scamp. It also meant that I didn't use as much of the solution per section of the Scamp and was able to make the bottle go a lot further. Tip number 4, be slow and methodical. This one was hard for me. I get kind of anxious doing a task like this, and I tend to move from one area to the next without really completing any area. What I'd recommend is dividing your trailer into little quadrants, maybe about 4 square feet each, and in each section, move your polisher very slowly with each pass. I kept my polisher around 1200 RPMs as well. Also, remember to keep your polisher flat to the surface, especially when you're around decals, because the edge can grab the decal and rip it off. So my 5th and final tip is to make sure you're doing this project in the right environment. It seemed like every day I tried to work on this project, it would either rain without warning and I'd have to stop for the day, or it'd be too sunny and I'd get blinded, or the cutting compound would dry too quickly on the surface of the Scamp. So I ended up having to spread the project out over like 5 days, which meant re-cleaning surfaces and all this other hassle. I would have ideally picked a day that was overcast with like 0% chance of rain. I hope you found this helpful. Like I said, I'm not a professional, so this should all be taken with a grain of salt. The fact that I'm not a professional should also be encouraging because I think I got really good results and I think you can too. I've linked below all the products I've used, and I've also linked some of the videos that I watched that really helped prepare me for this project. I got tons more improvements that I'm making on this Scamp that I'm really excited to show you guys. So if you're not already, be sure to subscribe below and also leave a comment because it will help out this channel. Thank you.